It's a massive machine, but it's a real piece of precision engineering too.
From the moment we launched the kit to make the first internal module, right through to the engine being dispatched, it's 20 days.
The fan blade delivers 75% of the engine's thrust. It shifts about 1.2 tons of air per second when it's at full throttle.
After about 30 seconds, you've got to come away. You can't stand there too long. If you do, you just start burning.
Every bit of this is all put together by hand.
We used to fit a bolt that was wrong. The aircraft was to come down.
We run thousands of hours of testing. An explosive detonation releases the blade from the disc at max takeoff speed and fires it into the fan case. The engine is destroyed.
Derby is Rolls-Royce. You mentioned Derby, everybody says Rolls-Royce.
They do better well than I, better class than I. They don't need my voice.
Morning. That's the inspection department, very friendly people there.
It's a very tough competition with one of the most powerful and competitive companies in the world in General Electric.
It's not until you see Trent Fleet fly over. I've made my own good bit of that.
Today, we're the lead. We're the most efficient engine flying in the world.
This is the Boeing 787 Dreamliner.
Cap 35 cross runway 11, 200 to the end ramp.
Designed to be the most fuel-efficient jumbo jet ever, it's touted as the future of air travel.
Even in sort of a grey Seattle day, that paint job is beautiful.
After years in development, the plane is finally ready for its very first flight. The weather's atrocious, but it's a make-or-break moment for Boeing's first new airliner in 10 years.
You know our plane is taxiing, and so we're proceeding inbound. I'm switching to...
And no one's more gripped than these engineers watching live over the web in Derby. Because they have designed and built the plane's groundbreaking jet engines, using technology that'll save each plane £3 million a year in fuel. If the flight goes according to plan, Rolls-Royce could find themselves building the greenest, cleanest engine for many of the world's airlines and securing orders in a highly competitive industry. The engine includes some of the most advanced aviation technology the world has ever seen. This is the story of how a British company leads the world in building the most advanced jumbo jet engines, and of the people who build them. Rolls-Royce jet engines are built at state-of-the-art factories all over the UK. It's a huge operation, with orders worth over £40 billion in civil aviation alone, and employing around 11,000 people building them. A new engine must roll off the production line every 36 hours.
Morning, Kev.
Morning, you all
right? Mate.
This week it's my turn, but I tend to be more times in a suit than not.
Wow, actually I could be building one of these in maybe a few months, or designing one of them. Maybe one day.
There you go. That's it. Look at that beauty. It's a work of art.
Rolls-Royce's main assembly plant is a vast 300-acre complex of factory buildings in the southwest corner of Derby. The city has been home to Rolls-Royce for 100 years. And for many of the 250,000 people who live here, the company is a way of life, in work and play.
They ensured me that they would arrive today. About 12 years ago, I joined the Rolls-Royce Ladies Choir. Start spreading the news. We rehearse every week on a Monday evening at the Rolls-Royce Leisure Association. It's a real enjoyable evening after a day at work.
For many of those who work at the company, Rolls-Royce and Derby go back a very long way.
I was born and bred in Derby, so I've been in Derby 53 years.
I've been at Royce's 36 years. It's like a family business as well, because my wife works at Rolls-Royce.
Without Rolls-Royce, I'm unemployed, you know, so it means a lot to us. Well, I think it means a lot to Derby, full stop, really.
You look up to Rolls-Royce, I bet there's not anybody really that doesn't know somebody that works at Rolls-Royce.
40 years. Since I was 18, I joined Royce's. I actually worked on Spitfire, the Merlin engine.
The choir's been in existence for 50 years. We celebrated the 50 years last year and had a big concert to celebrate that.
50 years and nearly 6 months. They sang at my wedding, which was very nice, and I came back with my daughter when she was 11 days old, and she sat in a pram and rocked all the while we were in for months.
Derby is Rolls-Royce. We've got lots of other engineering companies, but you mentioned Derby, everybody says Rolls-Royce.
The company used to be most famous for its luxury cars, but that all ended in the early 70s. Today, Rolls-Royce cars are actually made by BMW. The company's real heritage is aircraft engines. In fact, they've powered some of the world's most iconic aircraft, from Second World War fighter planes and the Harrier jump jet to the much-loved Concorde. And that heritage continues today, powering helicopters, business and military jets, and even ships. But the star product is the pioneering family of Trent jet engines, including the newest Trent 1000 for the Boeing Dreamliner. All the Trent engines are designed for jumbo-style wide-bodied airliners, like Boeing's 777 and the famous Airbus Super Jumbo. But this engine, for the Airbus 330, is the biggest seller of all. In 15 years, the Trent 700 has clocked up 13 million flying hours.
It's a massive machine, but it's a real piece of precision engineering too.
Weighing at least 5 tons, each Trent engine is worth several times its weight in silver. Only 2 companies in the world are capable of building engines this good.
It's a very tough competition between one of the most powerful and competitive companies in the world in General Electric. If you look at all the latest new technology aircraft, all have selected Rolls-Royce engines to power the first flight.
It carries a payload of 242 tons at 37,000 feet for 9,500 miles, which, as you can imagine, is a serious challenge for any technology to deliver. So it really is at the high end of manufacturing and assembly. And I often describe what we do as producing things of beauty.
But the popularity of the Trent 700 is also the factory's biggest challenge. With orders placed to build 400 new engines, the company has to produce at least 4 a week. For their production line, one of the most complex in the world, time is big money. Each Trent engine is built from modules, 8 separate sections which are put together on the assembly line. But each module is made from thousands and thousands of components. And the monumental task of gathering them starts here at their massive parts warehouse.
On average, with my pedometer, I average about 8 miles a day.
on an average day, but if we have lots and lots of issues, my best is just under 16 miles in a day. Lots and lots of shoe leather used.
Kevin Carr's job is to make sure every engine part is delivered to the assembly line on time.
I do know the guys around here say, you know, you just give me a part number, show me a box, and I can tell you what it is and where it goes. Everything's footprinted, ready for the guys. It's a bit like a sweet shop for them. They can pick and choose what they want. We supply the very first nut, bolt or washer that they fit, right up to the very last little bit of plastic that we put on the engine before it goes out the door to the customer. So that could be anything up to 30,000, 40,000 parts, depending on which engine it is.
It's Kev who kicks off every new engine build. 2 days before the assembly begins, he triggers the dispatch of tens of thousands of parts from the warehouse.
8 o'clock.
Have we got all the bits there for it?
Yes.
Got all the paperwork?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're all ready to go then. OK, thanks very much, Noel. Looking at the boxes, you wouldn't know, but just looking at the odds and sods that are lying on the floor, there's nothing under £1,000. You've got the engine control management unit, roughly £750,000 worth in that box, just sitting there on a pallet. Anything up to £200 million worth of stock on the shelf. We have roughly 5 engines worth of stock of anything.
Some of the components that make this engine what it is were designed and built by some of Britain's most skilled and innovative engineers at Rolls-Royce. Nestling in the Lancashire Hills, 100 miles north of Derby, Barn Oldswick is where the first ever jet engines were developed by Sir Frank Whittle. And today this small community still plays a very special part in the building of every Trent engine. Raw materials arrive at the factory every day. Solid sheets of high-grade titanium. They're destined to become one of the components that make Rolls-Royce Trent engines truly unique.
When you walk onto a plane, you look into the engine, that's the fan blade, and that's what we make here.
Mike Wallace's job is to transform the raw metal into high-performance fan blades.
The fan blade delivers 75% of the engine's thrust. It shifts about 1.2 tonnes of air per second, and the loading on the blade is something like 90 tonnes centrifugal load when it's at full throttle.
That's like hanging 13 double-decker buses off each of the 20 blades. The enormous fan is what distinguishes a modern jumbo engine from older turbojets. They didn't have a fan at the front and relied entirely on the jet exhaust to thrust the plane forwards. Faster than a propeller, but inefficient and very noisy. But in a turbofan, like a Trent engine, the energy of the exhaust is harvested to turn the massive fan blades at the front, which in turn push huge amounts of cold air quietly around the sides of the engine. And that's what thrusts the plane forwards. The Trent fan blades are unique.
So, which section is this?
And it's all down to their design.
The original blades used to be solid, but in order to get better performance, take weight out of the engine, it was designed to be hollow, and our manufacturing process, which is unique, has actually enabled us to make that and advance the technology within Rolls-Royce.
Every single fan blade is worth as much as an average family car.